We live in Tl'etikwe, that's called Fort Simpson. Tl'etikwe stands for where the rivers meet, or the two rivers meet. And it's pretty much the hub for the Decho region. The Nahende, which is the Liard River, it flows in, and then also there's the Decho, the Mackenzie River.
We're all in a Decho. We all live apart, but we're all living as neighbors, close neighbors to one another.
Here in LKFN, the Tl'etikwe First Nation, we're taught to take care of the land so the land will take care of us.
Today, everything is changing with climate change. Lots of landslides and lots of dead trees, and lots of trees are falling because of permafrost melting.
There is major challenges due to global warming, and it's impacting the water level, which makes it more challenging for the hunters to go fishing, to go harvest and hunt.
The water levels in the Mackenzie River, they're going way up and they're way down. Nobody has stories for the water ever being this low before.
Everything is unpredictable. Everything is changing.
Up here in the north, I feel that we're feeling the brunt of this whole global warming, and there's nothing we could do about it.
June 1999 is when I first went into Scotty Creek, and we reached out into the communities, letting people know what we're doing on the land. We had to get their approval to go onto the land.
In the past, my experience was researchers come and go without really involving the people that are living here. So a lot of the information that's being gathered really was not shared with us.
Right away, they established a relationship with the First Nations, the Chief and Council. And so there was an awareness of what they were trying to do.
Over time, we were invited in to talk a little more about it, and one thing leads to another.
They had just this really complimentary work where they'd come in and they just let us know what's going to be happening for the season. But we didn't realize the scope of the foundation that was kind of being built.
When Scotty Creek was forming, I don't think anybody understood what it really meant.
These are collaborations that came about through, working shoulder to shoulder with people in the bush on subjects of common interest.
The community wants to know the knowledge that's being done out here, and it's important to the community that they get feedback and how it's collected and how it's researched.
The whole idea of Scotty Creek has always been, in regards to climate change, Western science doesn't have all the answers, traditional knowledge doesn't have all the answers, but working together, we'll be able to figure out some of the answers.
I think Scotty Creek is important and stands out a little bit because the activities at that station are largely guided by the priorities in the communities. Even at that stage of formulating questions of what it is we want to look at and answering those questions, really co-developing new knowledge. I mean, it's easy to say that, but it's not so easy to do it. And I think we actually do it at Scotty Creek.
Scotty very specifically is something that we come into with the mindset that we are doing research with the community, not for the community.
Over time, we brought students out from the high schools. We had mixed cohorts of university undergraduate students and high school students from the Dene high schools. And I remember in advance of those events, the high school students were, Bill, we're going to be working with university students, so we're we're not sure about that. They're going to be way smarter than us and all this kind of stuff, right? They didn't know, but the university students were saying the same kind of thing. We're going out into the land with, Indigenous students. They're going to know what they're doing. We're going to freeze and die, that kind of stuff, right? Of course, none of that happened. They were both wrong. The Decho-based high school students always lent a hand and helped out. And on the other side of the coin, the university students provided that mentoring on things to do with the academic content. I think there's really lovely to see the enduring relationships and understanding and the mutual respect by the end of those week-long courses.
Scotty Creek is a fantastic base camp for doing research in northern peatlands. It allows you to kind of do the research that you're aiming to do without having to worry about some of those other amenity issues, right? You come here, you're all set up with everything you need. You have power, Wi-Fi, shower, waste management system. The only thing it's missing is indoor plumbing.
The site gives the students an opportunity to be working closely with First Nations communities, working on questions and concerns that are directly stemming from those community members and who are involved in the research process the entire time.
I am working on a way to essentially couple the effects of permafrost thaw and wildfires on the way that water is stored and the way it moves throughout the landscape.
I've been always interested in landslide analysis, and I know that erosion's a very hot topic there, and it affects them a lot because there's so much sediment going into the Mackenzie River right now.
We're here in the water science tent, which is where I do a lot of my research. I am filtering groundwater samples to test methylmercury and dissolved mercury.
Hi, I'm Atte Korhola. I'm professor of environmental change at the Helsinki University. And we are investigating here the fire using peats, and we are interested in particular about the carbon. Amount of carbon released by the fires, and especially black carbon, and whether it's fossil or recent carbon.
There's a lot of permafrost melting going on around here, and the research that we do is knowing how fast it's degrading and what's going on around these lakes.
Our Guardians program, they're hands-on. It's tying those guys in with the researchers, and a camp like Scotty Creek is also important because they're the ones that are gonna make sure that our land stays intact and nothing is disturbed.
When we come out to do the annual snow surveys, we normally bring a few Guardians with us, which is a great chance for knowledge transfer, right? I'm sharing what I'm coming up here to do, but they're sharing with me how they typically use this landscape. I remember one year I was with this guy, Nicholas. He ended up getting a caribou while we were out there laying tracks for the snow surveys, and we had fresh caribou shoulder for dinner. It was phenomenal. And when he left with a full caribou, and I left with my data. It was great.
We've had some students run workshops kind of at the band office or in town. Things like, we'll bring some equipment. It's like, here's how we fly a drone, and here's how we look at the imagery, or here's how to measure permafrost. And the idea behind that is so that they kind of get a better understanding of what we do and what we're talking about, but also they're able to start kind of doing those kinds of things themselves.
We couldn't get to the site, but we asked the Guardians. In fact, I don't even know if we asked them. I think they volunteered and said, you guys can't get out there, but we can get out there. So we had the Guardians going out to all the stations and downloading data, and the regular tasks that the researchers and students would have done, the Guardians did. By the end of COVID, it's like, okay, great, you guys know how to do this, and it's a big step upward. In a way, COVID kind of accelerated the process of transferring leadership to Scotty Creek.
One of the big issues that First Nations damn near across Canada would have in regards to dealing with researchers is parachute researchers. Come in behind our lines, take what they want, and leave, never to be heard from again, never acknowledging where that data was collected or was brought from.
A good example would be, let's say, somebody living in Toronto, all of a sudden, a group of us, Dene people show up, wander around that person's backyard, check out the trees, check out the apples or whatever is growing there, and leave without acknowledging who lives there.
Chiliquin First Nation had produced a band council resolution that basically says that any research that's going to go on at Scotty Creek has to go through an application process. The researchers have to fill out an application. There's a committee that's set up with Scotty Creek to vet all of these research applications and provide their recommendations to Chiliquin First Nation Chief and Council for final approval.
Putting in our own protocol for researchers to come to our area shows that we care. In many ways, it's strengthened us going forward together.
This is just one way of ensuring that we remain a part of the research, just to make sure that we have a good hold of what's happening in our territory in terms of climate change and permafrost degradation.
We need to have good data, really true data out there. It's hard to trust industry and institutions that cater to them. And so we got to make sure that whatever comes out of Scotty Creek is legitimate. It's got to follow certain criteria.
The license will be part of a process where applicants come to the community and share with the community what they're doing, what they've learned, and so on.
We have monthly meetings where pretty much everyone that's affiliated with Scotty or has done work here or is interested in it, as well as community members, we all kind of get together every month and everyone kind of gives an update on what they're working on. We want to make sure everyone's kept in the loop.
Putting the time into those kind of partnerships and collaborations, it pays dividends.
So the reason we're meeting today is to come together to address what's the future of the station. And what we've decided to do is to make this into an Indigenous-led research station. Might be the first in Canada, maybe first in the world, I don't know. I want to make sure the keys are in the right hands. It's on your land. What better way to move forward than to have the communities in the driver's seat? What I'd like to do today is I'd like to present the chief, Chief Kaylee Antoine, with a plaque just to commemorate what we're doing today, and just to indicate the transfer of the lease as a key step, that critical step.
It's a big step in being in control of our land, and I look forward to our youth and our elders utilizing this area to help educate the people of the world on the effects that we're facing.
All right.
Yeah, I'll present this flag to Scotty Creek. If you want to just hang on to that side.
That's beautiful.
Getting to be at that event and seeing the land lease get transferred over and the ceremonies and meet all the people, it really drilled into my mind personally that community is the most important part of Scotty.
It was a beautiful, warm day. We had a ceremony that involved drummers. There was fire feeding ceremony. Community members raised the LKFN flag on this pole. There was a plaque presented to the chief. It was a really positive, eagerly anticipated event.
What a lot of people don't realize, when they were out there for the handover ceremony, if you looked out in the distance, you saw the smoke clouds from fires very, very far away. And those fires kept getting closer and closer and closer.
It was mid-October. I think it was right after Thanksgiving weekend.
I got a text from a colleague and he's asking me if I'm aware of this fire that's nearby, which I wasn't, right? And he sends me a picture of this huge plume over in the distance. And of course I'm in denial. I Like, oh, we got tons of wetlands, right? The fire's not going to reach camp. We should be good. The next thing I know, I'm getting a text on Thanksgiving Day from a guardian I used to work with in Fort Simpson, saying like, hey, is everything all right out camp? There's this huge smoke plume in the distance that's visible from Fort Simpson, and it's just covering the sky.
I got very worried about the animals that live around there because we had moose and all the beavers, and then we even had caribou. And it really bothered me when there was a big fire going on there, thinking, where are these animals gonna go?
I got a phone call from a local pilot. Sergey got me on the phone and said, hey, Bill, I just flew over the site there, Scotty Creek, and it looks like the fire is right on your doorstep.
Here a few days later, but I'm walking into almost a post-apocalyptic landscape. It's just bare, scrap, twisted metal strewn about. We lost everything except our kitchen tent. It was devastating. Walking through the field and just seeing these hundreds of thousands of dollars of scientific equipment just absolutely gone, right? I almost couldn't believe it. I never thought it would happen, and
getting a fire in mid-October when there should be snow in the ground, that's kind of a fire that really shouldn't have happened at that time of year.
We have this traditional understanding that wetlands behave as natural fire breaks. They're typically too wet for fires to move across them, and now all of a sudden they're not functioning the way that they used to.
It looked like the fire just hopscotched across, patches of burn all across the wetland. I mean, this is, in every sense, an extreme event. You put your whole career into building something, and it's just poof, it's gone, right?
That's probably the grayest I've ever seen Bill. Like, he was just ashen, like more than 25 years of work and determination to make something. And it was becoming like this huge part of the date show now that it was under LKFN's banner, and it was all coming together, and then boom, it was gone in a flash.
There was quite a bit of commiseration and so on, but then we just sort of, okay, it's not about being knocked down, but how fast you can jump back up.
We were sitting on that Zoom call with Bill, and so what do we need to do to get this thing rebuilt? It was very emboldening.
We're very resilient. We're used to the changes that the environment could bring. And so we quickly got back to work and started raising the funds. And
we talked with researchers from across Canada, private organizations, anybody that was willing to lend an ear, and ended up coming down to partnerships and collaborations.
There's a lot of debris that needed to come out of here. We're still chipping away at a lot of cleanup, a lot of long days trying to get everything together.
It's a lot of hard labor that you're doing, but seeing that community support, seeing the band office people so excited to see this rebuilt and reconstructed, especially in their vision, it was such a fun part of it that I think it just kept us going all summer long. We were doing a lot of leveling out the ground, building structures, that kind of stuff, and I feel like a lot of the times in science you don't necessarily get to do those hands-on rebuilding things, so now I could work in carpentry if science doesn't work out.
The fire was more if you had to look through it through the lens of traditional knowledge, it was a revitalization. It just kind of put everyone on notice the importance of the Scotty Creek Research Station and how important it is to our community and our region.
If there was ever any doubt about who's leading the station and whose station it is, the fire took that doubt away, because when you have a whole community coming together, single-mindedly focused on rebuilding a station, and with all that buy-in with people in the office and the community at large, guardians and so on, by the time the rebuild has happened, it is theirs and they know it.
I'm pretty proud of the fact that our team had worked so hard to get Scotty Creek back up and running so quickly. It's just a testament to the passion of all the people involved.
It was lot of hard, long work. Now it's open for business.
Welcome. Good to see you. Welcome. For those who don't know, unfortunately, the winds got too high. It's at Trout Lake, so Sambake, the flight turned around, so unfortunately they're not able to join us today. Another time.
For us to come out here and see this beautiful land and see the setup that Scotty Creek has now and what they're doing and where they're going with everything is such a pleasure to be here, and to be a part of it is huge.
Well, right now there's a fire ban. We did have at the lease transfer, we had a fire feeding ceremony. We just think we're tempting fate to have a fire ceremony again. We're not superstitious, but last time we had a fire, it was 2 months later, it was a big fire came through.
We did the water ceremony because we feel it's important for what we're doing here. We need grandmother to help us. Tau miata tumidayan tumadita huntanade. Tau miata tumidayan tumadita huntanade. Tau miata tumidayan tumadita huntanade. Grandfather, grandmother, father, mother, Creator, we thank you for the water that sustains our lives. Continue to protect our lands and our camps, and continue to provide guidance to the other cultures that want to learn how to be one with you. Today we start our journey in the new camp that was rebuilt. And we are following your teachings, grandmother, grandfather, where you had told us that if your house burns down, build another one.
The reopening ceremony yesterday was really just beautiful to be a part of. I felt really lucky to be here with community members. They were generous enough to want to share that with us.
I hope Scotty Creek and Clydekaway First Nation work together, not only for today and tomorrow, but for future generations and for younger generation to get up and learn. That, hey, this station is here. You want to learn something? You want to carry on your education further? Here's a start.
What's really important about the work that gets done here is that communities and researchers, so Western scientists and Dene people, have a chance to reconnect and grow and learn together and understand each other's worldviews and move forward into a future where the work of each enhances the understanding of the other. I think the marriage between Western science and Indigenous knowledge is it's the fulcrum that changes the balance of the future for everybody here in the Decho.
We're kind of, I think, setting a pretty good example for how research in the North and collaboration with Northern communities should kind of move towards. I think we're moving in the right direction.
There's a lot of buy-in from the local people here. They do support the project strongly. There's been a lot of local employment and knowledge learned and passed to the people here. It's the future of the community.
It's not just a research station, it's really a place of opportunity, and it's a place of new beginnings for many young people, because this is where the relationships of future generations are built. This is where the next generation is trained on how to solve problems of tomorrow. And it's a place where cutting-edge data is produced, but also where cutting-edge relationships are produced.
Publishing papers is great, and getting research grants is great, but providing opportunities and hatching plans to increase these opportunities and grow the station with the communities, that's been really rewarding, and without a doubt the most rewarding part of my career.
And we're going to continue to do what we need Scotty Creek to do, which is by guidance of LKFN and the communities of the Decho, guide research that benefits not just researchers but the communities of the Decho and the Northwest Territories, and also to participate and share that information with scientists from across the world to start figuring out like the question of climate change and how we can contribute to taking care of the land.
It's very important, and I am very thankful and happy that our Scotty Creek is sitting in the middle of a sacred place. It's important to me, and I am very thankful and happy that it's there because it's in the middle of all our communities, our neighbors.
The future of Scotty Creek, I believe, is going to prosper. We're just getting started.